Hello once again, my dear babies. I told you that you needed to do an exercise for me, which was show me the cross between a plant that bears red and white flowers with a plant that bears red and white flowers. Now, red and white in a flower would be an example of codominance. Now, I don't have the red and white, sorry, but I've got red and yellow. Same concept. These are red and yellow apples, pretty apples. So this is what it will look like. This is what your answer should have looked like. P1, phenotype, red and yellow, cross red and yellow. Genotype, RY, capital R, capital Y, cross capital R, capital Y. Then you write down meiosis and you write down gametes. Here we go. So you can put a circle around these here. So 50% of the gametes would have capital R. You can even put a line down from there, 50% would have the other capital Y, and the same with the others. Then you write down fertilization, and I would have preferred, in line with fertilization, you draw your Punnett square. Should that one meet that one, you'd get that. Should that gamete meet that, you'd get that. Should this gamete meet that, you'd get that. Should that gamete meet that, you'd get that. So those are the four possibilities of the offspring. So your genotypic ratio, my darlings, would be 1 red is to 2 red and yellow is to 1 yellow. Wow, did I make a mistake? Yes, I did. What did I say? Genotypic ratio. It should have been phenotypic ratio. 1 is to 2 is to 1. Genotypic ratio, what would it be? Also 1 is to 2 is to 1. But it is 1 homozygous red is to 2 heterozygous red and yellow is to 1 homozygous yellow. So if you cross 2 heterozygous organisms for incomplete and codominance, you'd always get the phenotypic and genotypic ratio. 1 is to 2 is to 1. Bear that in mind. Okay? Good. So thus far, what have we looked at? To recap, we looked at the concept of inheritance when it came to complete dominance, the type of inheritance incomplete dominance, the type of inheritance codominance. Now we're going to be looking at sex-linked inheritance. Yeah? What then is sex-linked inheritance? It is an inheritance which is based on the fact that there are these alleles which are carried on the sex chromosomes. So it's a type of inheritance which deals with alleles being carried on the sex chromosomes. That type of inheritance is sex-linked. Once again, a type of inheritance where the allele for the characteristic is carried on a sex chromosome or a gonosome. No? And in our case, my dear children, we look at the allele being carried on the X sex chromosome, not the Y, right? And we represent it by a letter to the power of X, let's put it that way. So I'll have X to the power of capital D or X to the power of small d. But why do we use X and X and X and Y? Let me first show you, my dear children, what is the percentage chance of an organism being born a boy or a girl, just for you to see the sex chromosomes involved in this particular genetic cross. Okay. I do know in one particular examination some time ago, they asked the students to show what is the percentage chance that Doreen would have a daughter if she has 5 daughters already. And it was a simple genetic cross. By the way, the answer would be 50%. There's always a 50% chance that a child would be born a male or a child would be born a female. You think I'm wrong? Let's look at this genetic cross. And then you'd realize that the one who is to be blamed, in inverted commas, if the papa is a boy when you wanted a girl is the daddy, not the mommy. Okay? So P1, phenotype, male cross female. Here we show the sex chromosomes. Remember, a male has the sex chromosomes XY. You've already learned that. And a female has the sex chromosome XX. These are the sex chromosomes or the gonosomes. And during gamete formation in the male, what is the gamete formation process called in a male? Spermatogenesis. Of course, it is meiosis. So during meiosis, you will find 50% of his sperms will be carrying the X sex chromosome and 50% will be carrying the Y sex chromosome. With the female, she is XX. So all her eggs will be carrying the X chromosome. There we go. This is showing you that the X separates out into her eggs, where no egg will be carrying two X chromosomes. Neither will any sperm be carrying XY. All sperms should be carrying one X and one Y, all eggs or one Y, or all eggs should be carrying an X. Of course, we've learned during meiosis, and when there's abnormal meiosis, you can have the possibility of non-disjunction of gonosomes. And I'm sure your teacher has gone through that with you. So should that sperm meet that egg, you will have a little papa girl. And if that sperm met that egg, you'll also have a baby girl. But if that sperm met that egg, you would have a baby boy. And if that sperm met that egg, you'd have a baby boy. So who determines whether it's going to be a boy or a girl? The sperms. And the sperms arise from the daddy. So therefore, papas, if you're looking at your phenotypic ratio, there is a 50% chance that the baby would be born a male and a 50% chance that the baby would be born a female. Notice here they put down 50% males in bold, because I'm sure in this question they asked, if a couple had like 4 boys, how many percent chance would the next child be born a boy? And you had to give the answer 50% chance. You would have said 50% or 1:1 ratio, but you had to say there's a 50% chance that the next child would be born a boy. Great. Okay. So with that, we're now going to be looking at sex-linked inheritance. Read up about it before I see you in the next video. Remember I said in the sex-linked inheritance that we're studying this year, the allele is carried only on the X chromosome. So if you look here, my darlings, I would have like X to a letter, small d, or capital D. Here I'd have X to the letter small d or capital D, X to the letter small d or capital D. There will be no letter to the power of Y, kind of, because the Y chromosome is not carrying the allele. So when I see you next, let's look at the probability of having a female carrying a disease, which is sex-linked, and a male carrying a disease, which is sex-linked. Read up about it before I see you in the next lesson.